Have you noticed, like, how many fitness influencers there are on TikTok these days?
Oh, yeah.
It's like every other video is someone with like a six-pack showing off their workout or
Yeah.
pushing some new supplement or something.
Right.
So today,
Yeah.
we're going to be going deep on this
Okay.
research paper from Complutense University of Madrid.
Interesting.
It dives into a pretty concerning trend, actually. It's looking at how TikTok is being used to promote anabolic steroid use, particularly in young people. And we're going to try to figure out if TikTok is kind of like inadvertently fueling this like dangerous obsession with getting these unrealistic body standards.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing that's striking from the get-go is just the massive reach that TikTok has, especially with younger audiences.
Yeah.
We're talking about a platform with over 500,000 videos consumed daily.
Right.
To put that in perspective, over 32,700 of those videos are directly related to body image.
Right.
And since 2020, the platform's grown by 50%, which is huge, adding a mind-blowing 340 million new users every year.
So those are seriously impressive numbers.
Uh-huh.
But it also kind of makes you think about the potential impact, right?
Right.
When you consider that like a big chunk of TikTok users are between 12 and 17 years old,
Yeah.
that's like a demographic that's super sensitive to social influence.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes this research so important. It examines how this really fast expansion among a young user base makes TikTok such a powerful force in shaping perceptions of body image and fitness.
Yeah, it's kind of like walking into a high school cafeteria and like everyone looks like they just stepped out of a fitness magazine or something.
Right.
You just can't help but feel the pressure to measure up.
Exactly. And the research goes into how social media and these image-focused platforms like TikTok in particular contribute to this feeling. You know, it creates this culture where everyone's constantly comparing themselves to others,
Right.
leading to feelings of inadequacy and then a drive to achieve these often unrealistic body ideals.
Yeah. Well, and there's a quick fix, it seems like, that's being promoted more and more on TikTok.
Oh, really?
It's no surprise, given the paper found that steroid use in Spain has jumped by 20% since the pandemic started.
Oh, wow.
And what's really alarming is that the average age of users has plummeted to just 16.
That's scary. That's a really disturbing statistic. And it's something the researchers connect directly to the rise of these idealized physiques on platforms like TikTok. Young people are being bombarded with all these images of seemingly perfect bodies.
Right.
And they may be seeing steroids as a shortcut to achieve similar results.
It's a quick fix.
But what they often don't see are the serious health risks that are associated with steroid use.
Okay, so let's talk about how steroids are being discussed on TikTok. Are we seeing like blatant ads for illegal substances, or is it more subtle than that?
It's definitely more nuanced. The paper breaks down how these influencers on TikTok are communicating about steroids, and they've identified two main categories.
Okay.
Pro-steroid influencers
Okay.
and educational influencers.
Okay, let's unpack these two groups. It sounds like there might be a fine line between them.
You're absolutely right. Let's start with the pro-steroid influencers. They often focus on showcasing these really dramatic transformations.
Okay.
They use lots of before and after photos to highlight the muscle gain and strength.
Yeah.
But the problem is they often downplay or completely ignore the risks that are associated with steroid use.
So it sounds like they're playing on those insecurities that we were just talking about.
Totally.
Packaging steroids
Yeah.
as a way to achieve that perfect body without acknowledging the potential harm.
Exactly. The paper actually highlights a specific influencer at Life of Stogie
Oh, okay.
as a prime example of this approach. He's one of the most popular fitness influencers that they analyzed, and his content really emphasizes these transformations
Yeah.
without addressing the risks at all.
Okay, so what about these educational influencers? Are they trying to provide a more balanced perspective?
That's what makes it tricky. These creators aim to provide information about steroids, including their effects and potential risks.
Okay.
Some even go so far as to offer advice on safe usage.
Wow.
But the researchers point out that even this seemingly responsible approach can inadvertently normalize steroid use by just including it in the conversation.
It's almost like saying, here's how to use this potentially dangerous substance safely, which implies that using it at all is okay.
Right. It creates a false sense of security and can mislead young people into thinking that as long as they follow certain guidelines, steroid use is acceptable. The researchers mentioned at Adrian Dominguez 7
Okay.
as an example. He does a pretty good job of explaining complex topics related to steroids like the effects of trenbolone in a way that's engaging and easy to understand,
Yeah.
but that doesn't negate the potential dangers.
So we have these pro-steroid influencers glamorizing the quick fix,
Right.
and then educational influencers potentially normalizing the conversation around steroids, even with good intentions.
Yeah,
It makes you wonder how much TikTok's algorithm is contributing to all of this.
that's a great point. And it's something the paper digs into as well. They argue that TikTok's algorithm, which is designed to keep users hooked on the platform, might be unintentionally amplifying these messages and pushing young people down a dangerous path.
So how does the algorithm play into this? Is it like just feeding us more of what we already like?
Well, it's a bit more complex than that.
Okay.
The algorithm's built on a concept called variable reward. Basically, the unpredictable nature of what pops up on your Fourthsia page keeps you scrolling, looking for that next hit of dopamine.
Okay.
Think of it like a slot machine, where you never know what you're going to get.
Oh, yeah.
So you keep pulling that lever, or in this case, refreshing your feed.
Okay, that makes sense. We've all been down those TikTok rabbit holes,
Right.
losing track of time as we scroll through endless videos.
Yeah.
But how does that relate to steroid use?
Well, imagine a young person who's already feeling insecure about their body image starts engaging with fitness content on TikTok. The algorithm picks up on this interest and begins flooding their feed with even more fitness-related videos.
Right.
But here's the catch. Without proper safeguards, a lot of those videos could be promoting unrealistic body standards or even subtly endorsing steroid use.
So the algorithm's not necessarily pushing steroids directly, but creating an environment where those messages are amplified and normalized.
Exactly.
It's kind of like being surrounded by a chorus of voices saying, this is the way to achieve the body you want.
Yeah, and that can be incredibly difficult to resist.
Right.
Especially for young people who are still developing their critical thinking skills and sense of self.
Yeah.
It's not just about individual choices. It's about understanding the systemic factors that are shaping the online landscape and influencing their perceptions.
You know, there's something else in this paper that I found really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It talks about how the values that influencers communicate can resonate deeply with young people.
Yeah.
It's like we internalize those messages without even realizing it.
That's a crucial point, and it's something the researchers analyzed using a framework called Schwartz's typology of values.
Okay.
It categorizes values based on their underlying motivations.
Well, okay.
Think of it like a spectrum. On one end, you have values like achievement, power, and social status, things that drive us to strive for success and recognition.
Okay.
On the other end, you have values like universalism, benevolence, and caring for others.
I'm starting to see how this connects to TikTok and steroids.
Yeah.
Are you saying that certain influencers are tapping into those achievement-oriented values, making steroids seem like a tool for climbing the social ladder or reaching the top?
Precisely. Think back to those pro-steroid influencers we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Their content often glorifies dominance, physical strength, and attaining the ultimate physique.
Right.
It's all about pushing limits, winning at all costs,
Yeah.
and achieving a level of physical perfection that sets you apart from the crowd.
It's like a twisted version of the American dream,
Right.
where success and happiness are measured by your physical transformation, even if it means taking dangerous shortcuts.
And that message can be incredibly appealing to young people who are still figuring out who they are and where they fit in. They might see steroids as a way to gain an edge, a way to achieve those aspirational goals faster and climb the social ladder quicker.
It's almost like a shortcut to feeling powerful and confident.
Right.
Even if that confidence is built on a foundation of potential health risks and a distorted body image.
You hit the nail on the head. And even the educational influencers, while they might be more nuanced in their approach, often still tap into values like self-direction and stimulation. They frame steroid use as a matter of personal choice.
Yeah.
A way to optimize your body and push your boundaries.
Like knowledge is power. If you're going to do it right sort of thing.
Exactly. But as we discussed earlier, even that seemingly responsible approach can normalize steroid use and create a false sense of security.
It's a really slippery slope. And it's crucial for young people to understand that these decisions about their bodies and their health aren't made in a vacuum.
Right.
They're influenced by a whole web of factors, social pressures, marketing tactics, algorithmic manipulation.
Yeah.
Things that are often invisible but incredibly powerful.
Right.
It's like we need to equip them with a kind of algorithmic literacy, a way to decode these platforms and see through the smoke and mirrors.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
And that goes beyond just understanding how algorithms work.
Yeah.
It's about developing critical thinking skills.
Right.
Questioning the messages we're bombarded with.
Right.
And understanding the deeper motivations behind those messages. We need to empower them to question the values being promoted.
Right.
To examine the evidence behind the claims.
Yeah.
And to make informed decisions about their health and well-being.
So it's not about shielding young people from these platforms or censoring content.
Right.
But about helping them become more discerning consumers of information.
Exactly.
To see through the hype and make choices that align with their own values and goals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It requires open and honest conversations about the pressures they're facing, the tactics being used to influence them, and the potential consequences of those choices.
Yeah.
It's about fostering a culture of critical thinking where young people feel empowered to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and make informed decisions about their bodies and their health.
Now, this research paper focused on male creators and their influence on young men.
Right.
But what about the impact on young women? Surely they're not immune to these pressures.
You raise a very important point. While the paper didn't specifically address this, it's crucial to recognize that young women are also bombarded with images of idealized bodies.
Yeah.
And might be equally susceptible to the allure of quick fixes and dangerous shortcuts. In fact, the pressure to conform to certain body standards can be even more intense for young women, given the societal emphasis on female beauty and appearance.
And let's not forget the rise of fitspiration content.
Right.
Which, while often presented as empowering and motivational, can also contribute to unrealistic body expectations and disordered eating patterns.
It's a double-edged sword for sure.
Right.
And it highlights the need for even more nuanced conversations about body image, self-acceptance, and the dangers of equating physical appearance with worth or success.
We need to help young people develop a healthy relationship with their bodies.
Yes.
One that's based on respect, self-care, and recognizing that true strength comes from within, not from the number on the scale or the size of your biceps.
Well said.
Yeah.
And that's a message that needs to be amplified not just on social media, but in homes, schools, and communities.
Exactly.
We need to create a culture that celebrates diversity, promotes body positivity, and encourages young people to embrace their unique individuality. We need to shift the focus from external validation to internal strength and self-acceptance.
And that's a journey that requires support, guidance, and open dialogue. It's about creating a space where young people feel safe to explore their own values, to challenge societal norms, and to define what health and well-being truly mean to them.
Exactly.
So how do we bridge the gap between the idealized images we see online and the reality of our own bodies?
That's a question.
How do we resist the allure of quick fixes and embrace a more holistic approach to health and fitness?
It starts with questioning those idealized images.
Yeah.
Remember, what you see on social media is often carefully curated, filtered, and edited.
Right.
It's a highlight reel, not the full story. It's like comparing your behind-the-scenes footage to someone else's perfectly polished final cut.
Yeah.
It's not a fair comparison.
That's such a good point. We often forget that what we're seeing online isn't always a reflection of reality.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to diversify your feed. Follow accounts that promote body positivity, that showcase real bodies, and that prioritize health and well-being over aesthetics.
And don't be afraid to unfollow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
You have the power to curate your online experience.
Well, absolutely.
Choose to surround yourself with messages that uplift you, that inspire you, and that make you feel good about yourself.
Exactly.
It's like spring cleaning for your mental health.
Yeah.
Out with the toxic and in with the positive.
And remember, you are not alone in this. Everyone struggles with body image at some point.
Right.
It's a universal human experience. Don't be afraid to reach out for support, to talk to someone you trust, or to seek professional help if you need it. There are therapists, counselors, support groups, and online communities dedicated to promoting body positivity and helping people develop a healthy relationship with their bodies.
So let's recap what we've learned from our deep dive into TikTok and steroid use. So we started by talking about the sheer scale of TikTok and how popular it is with young people.
Right.
And we've seen how this platform with its powerful algorithm and the whole culture focused on these often unattainable body ideals can lead some down this path towards steroid use.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope for sure.
We also explored how different types of influencers, from those openly promoting steroids to the ones who are like, educational, are contributing to the problem.
Right.
And we dug deep into how those influencers tap into like our deepest desires for achievement and recognition,
Yeah,
which kind of makes these quick fixes seem even more appealing.
definitely.
And throughout this deep dive, we've emphasized the importance of media literacy and critical thinking, especially when it comes to like navigating this complex world of online fitness culture.
Yeah.
You have to remember that what you see on TikTok isn't always the full picture.
It's so true.
It's about empowering yourself and like the young people in your life
Mm-hmm.
to make informed decisions about their bodies and their health.
Right.
It's about resisting the allure of like these quick fixes and dangerous shortcuts.
Yeah.
And recognizing that true strength comes from a place of self-love and acceptance, not from chasing some like impossible ideal.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as you continue to scroll through TikTok, remember to be mindful of the messages you're consuming.
Yeah.
Question the values being promoted,
Mm-hmm.
and prioritize your health and well-being above all else.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are resources available, people who care, and communities that support you. So keep asking questions, keep challenging the status quo, and keep striving for a world where everyone feels empowered to embrace their unique and beautiful selves.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of TikTok and steroid use. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.